The alien princess stood on the edge of the landing platform, her heart beating faster than she wanted. The sky above Earth was gray, filled with clouds that moved quickly as if they were in a hurry to escape. She had never seen this planet before, and the strange mix of colors, smells, and sounds made her feel small and uncertain. Even though she was royalty in her world, here she felt exposed and fragile. Her hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the silver cloak around her shoulders, trying to hide the shiver that ran through her body. She had come to Earth for a simple mission. It was not a war, not yet. Her people wanted to learn about humans, their cities, and how they solved problems without using weapons. It was meant to be peaceful, but the princess had been warned that danger could appear at any time. Her advisors had insisted on her being careful, on trusting no one fully. She had listened, but now, standing alone, she felt how heavy the responsibility of being a princess really was. A sudden noise broke her thoughts. From the corner of her eye, she saw shadows moving too fast to be human. Figures dressed in dark, tight clothing were rushing toward her, their faces hidden behind masks. The princess froze, unsure what to do. Her heart pounded in her chest as panic threatened to take control. She had trained for situations like this, but fear made her limbs heavy and slow. Then she saw him, a human. He was standing a few feet away, calm and firm, as if he had expected this. His eyes were clear and focused, and his stance showed a courage that surprised her. He did not hesitate. With a movement that seemed both careful and confident, he stepped forward, positioning himself between her and the attackers. The princess felt something stir inside her, a strange sense of familiarity she could not place. The attackers lunged, and the human moved like he was part of the wind itself. He dodged quickly, blocked their attacks, and even used small objects around him to defend both himself and the princess. She watched, unable to look away as he fought without fear. There was no shouting, no anger, only precise, controlled movements that protected her. She could feel her shivering lessen slightly, replaced by a strange mixture of awe and hope. When the last attacker was driven back, the human turned to her. His expression was calm but alert, ready for anything that might come next. The princess felt a jolt run through her body. She stared at him, trying to remember why he seemed so familiar. There was something about his face, his eyes, the way he carried himself. It tugged at a memory she thought she had buried long ago. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. He smiled slightly as if reading her thoughts and said, "Are you all right?" His voice was gentle, but there was strength in it. The kind of strength that did not need to shout to be noticed. The princess nodded slowly. I think so," she whispered. The human helped her step back from the edge of the platform, keeping one hand close, ready to act if danger returned. The princess's mind raced. How could she feel this connection to someone she had never met? And yet, as she looked closer, flashes of her past came rushing back. She remembered a human, small, brave, someone who had once saved her from a dangerous situation when she was a child. Her heart skipped a beat. Could it really be him? The one who had risked everything for her so long ago? Before she could speak, the human noticed her hesitation. "Do you know me?" he asked, tilting his head slightly. His question was simple, but it carried weight. The princess hesitated, her hands tightening around the cloak. She did not know if she should trust the memory, if she should believe that fate had brought them together again. Yet the warmth of recognition spread through her chest. She nodded slowly, unable to fully speak the truth. The human's eyes widened slightly just for a moment before he regained his composure. "It's been a long time," he said softly, almost to himself. The princess felt shivers run down her spine, not from fear but from the weight of memories and emotions she had tried to push away. She had spent years learning to be strong, to hide her feelings, to survive as a princess. But now, facing him, she felt the vulnerability of that small child she had once been. They moved away from the platform together, keeping alert for any signs of further danger. The princess studied him carefully. He had grown, matured. Yet there was a familiar kindness in his eyes, a reminder of someone who had once held her small hand to guide her through fear. She wanted to ask questions, to demand answers, but she also wanted to savor the strange comfort of having him near. As they reached a quiet area, away from the chaos, the princess finally spoke. I remember you," she said, her voice trembling slightly. You saved me." Her words hung in the air, fragile but true. The human looked at her, his expression softening, and nodded. "I did, a long time ago," he replied. There was silence between them. filled with the unspoken memories of their shared past. The princess shivered again, but this time it was not just from the cold wind. It was from the realization that her childhood savior was standing in front of her, alive, grown, and stronger than she had ever imagined. She felt a mixture of relief, gratitude, and a strange sense of destiny. The world around her seemed less threatening with him near, and for the first time in a long while she allowed herself to hope. As they walked together, the princess could not stop thinking about the path that had led them here. She had faced danger, loneliness, and the weight of her royal duties, but now a piece of her past had returned to guide her once more. She did not yet know what would come next, but she knew one thing clearly: she was not alone. The alien princess walked slowly beside the human, her mind racing with memories and questions. The gray clouds above seemed heavier now, as if the sky itself understood the weight of what she was feeling. Each step brought a mix of wonder and fear. How could a human be here after so many years? How could he be the same person who had saved her when she was just a small, frightened child? She kept glancing at him, trying to read his expression. He seemed calm, but there was a quiet intensity in his eyes, a depth that made her heart beat faster. The way he moved, confident yet careful, reminded her of someone she had once trusted completely. A memory flashed in her mind, a garden long ago where she had hidden behind a tall bush crying, and a small human child had gently guided her to safety. That child had been brave beyond his years, and somehow, he had always known the right thing to do. Now, standing before him, grown taller and stronger, she felt the same warmth and trust she had felt as a child. She wanted to speak, to ask him how it was possible that he had returned to her life, but the words caught in her throat. Instead, she stayed silent, letting her gaze linger on him. The human noticed her hesitation. "You're thinking of something," he said softly. His voice was calm, gentle, yet carried the same quiet strength she remembered from long ago. "It's okay. You don't have to speak if you're not ready." The princess nodded, grateful for his patience. "It's just, I remember you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "When I was a child, you saved me." Her hands trembled slightly as she clutched the silver cloak around her shoulders. "I never thought I would see you again." The human smiled faintly, a mixture of nostalgia and relief in his expression. "I remember you too," he said. "I never forgot." There was a pause as he looked into her eyes, searching for a sign that she truly remembered him. "It was a long time ago, but it feels like yesterday." The princess felt a shiver run through her body, not from fear but from the weight of the memories returning. She remembered the danger, the confusion, and the overwhelming fear she had felt as a child, and she remembered the human, small but brave, who had stepped forward without hesitation to protect her. His courage had given her hope when everything around her seemed lost. As they walked through the quiet streets of the city, the princess found herself noticing small details she had never paid attention to before. The way the human moved, careful and alert, as if he expected trouble at any moment. The way his eyes scanned the surroundings, always aware, always ready. The same qualities that had saved her as a child were still there, grown and refined over the years. "I never thought I would meet you again," she said after a moment, her voice trembling slightly. "I wondered if you were even alive." Her eyes searched his face, looking for reassurance, for the truth. "I am," he said simply. "I promised myself I would always watch over you, in whatever way I could. Even if we were far apart, even if I couldn't be there when you needed me most, I never stopped thinking about you." The princess felt a lump in her throat. The sincerity in his voice, the quiet strength, reminded her of why she had trusted him so completely as a child. She remembered the fear she had felt then and the relief when he had appeared. She had been too young to understand the danger fully, but she had known deep inside that he was someone special, someone she could rely on. They found a quiet park and sat on a bench, the city noises fading into the background. The human glanced at her, waiting patiently for her to speak. The princess took a deep breath, trying to put her thoughts into words. "I remember everything," she said slowly. "The garden, the tall bushes, the way you held my hand and told me everything would be okay. I was so scared, but you made me feel safe." The human nodded, a small smile on his lips. "I remember that day too," he said. "I remember how scared you were and how small you looked. But I also remember thinking, I have to help her. I can't let anything happen to her." His eyes softened as he spoke, and the princess felt her heart swell with a mix of gratitude and emotion. For a long time, they sat in silence, letting the memories settle between them. The princess shivered again, but this time it was not from fear. It was from the realization that the human before her was truly the same person who had saved her as a child. He was not just a memory, not just a dream from her past. He was real, alive, and here with her. "You've grown," she said finally, breaking the silence. "Stronger, braver, more certain." Her voice was soft, filled with awe. "It's strange. I feel like the child I once was is standing next to me, but also, I see the person you've become." He smiled faintly, a mixture of pride and humility in his expression. "And you've grown too," he said. "You've carried so much responsibility, so many challenges. You've become someone I would be proud to protect if it were ever needed again." The princess felt a warmth spread through her chest. The connection between them, built on memories and shared experiences, was stronger than she had imagined. She realized that the bond they shared was not just about the past, it was about trust, courage, and understanding. Even though years had passed, even though their worlds were different, they still recognized each other in the truest way. As the sun began to set, casting a soft golden light over the city, the princess and the human stood and began to walk again. They moved slowly, savoring the moment, each step filled with unspoken understanding. She knew that challenges lay ahead, political intrigue, danger from those who sought to harm her. But for now, she felt safe. For the first time in a long time, she felt a sense of hope. "I'm glad I found you," she said softly, her eyes meeting his. "Even after all these years, I'm glad you're here." "I'm glad too," he replied, his voice steady and sincere. "I never stopped hoping that one day we would meet again." The princess shivered once more, but it was a shiver of recognition, of relief, and of the strange, comforting knowledge that the human beside her was not just a protector, but a reminder of courage and kindness from her past. Together they continued walking, ready to face whatever came next, side by side, bound by memories and a shared history that could never be broken. The alien princess walked beside the human in silence for a while, the city lights beginning to glow softly in the evening. Her mind was full of questions, and memories kept surfacing like shadows from a distant past. She could not stop thinking about that day so many years ago, the day a human had risked everything to save her. The same human now walked beside her, grown and strong, yet somehow the same person she remembered. Finally she spoke, her voice soft but filled with curiosity. "Tell me what happened after that day, after you saved me?" The human looked at her, his eyes reflecting the streetlights. He took a deep breath. "It was difficult," he admitted. "I had to leave soon after. Things in your world, they were complicated. I didn't want to put you in danger again by staying. But I never forgot you. I remembered that small, brave princess who trusted me without question, even though we were from different worlds." The princess's chest tightened. She had remembered being small and scared, but also feeling a strange courage because someone believed in her. Now she realized that courage had stayed with her through all the years. "I remember feeling safe," she said quietly. "Even though I was so frightened, you made me feel like I could survive. I never understood then why you were willing to risk yourself for me." The human's lips curved into a faint smile. "I didn't think about the risk," he said. "I only thought about keeping you safe. You were a child, and someone had to protect you. I wanted you to have a chance to grow, to live, to be the person you are now." The princess felt her eyes grow wet with emotions she had tried to suppress. She remembered the fear of that day, the sound of chaos and the overwhelming sense of helplessness, but she also remembered the human's hand reaching out, his calm voice guiding her, and the courage that had flowed through him. She realized now how much that moment had shaped her life, teaching her trust, hope, and the strength to face challenges. They walked to a quiet fountain in the park, where the sound of water created a gentle rhythm, softening the tension around them. The princess paused, her gaze fixed on the water as she continued to speak. "I often wondered if I would ever see you again. If you were alive." She swallowed hard. "I feared I had imagined it, that you were only a memory, a dream of my childhood." The human placed a hand lightly on her shoulder. "I am here," he said firmly. "Alive, and I'm here for you. You were never a dream to me either. I remember everything, your fear, your hope, your courage. I have carried it with me all these years." A shiver ran through the princess, not from cold but from the realization that this human, her childhood savior, had never forgotten her. She felt a mixture of gratitude, relief, and a strange vulnerability. She had spent years learning to be strong, to carry the responsibilities of her title, but now she felt the child she once was, the one who had needed help, surfacing within her. The human's gaze softened as he looked at her. "Do you remember how you held my hand that day?" he asked gently. "You were scared, but you trusted me completely. That trust, it stayed with me." The princess nodded, tears threatening to fall. "I remember," she whispered. "I remember feeling that someone believed in me, someone who was willing to risk everything for my safety. I never forgot that feeling. It made me strong. It helped me survive." For a long moment, they sat by the fountain, letting the memories flow between them like the gentle water. It was as if time had folded upon itself, bringing them back to that moment when fear had been replaced by hope. The princess realized that this human, now grown and steady, had been a guiding presence in her life even from afar. Breaking the silence, she asked, "Why did you leave?" Her voice was soft, almost hesitant. "I wondered why you never returned, why you didn't seek me out again." The human sighed, looking down at the water. "I wanted to," he admitted. "But the worlds we live in, they are very different. I could not risk exposing you to danger, and I did not know how to find you. But I promised myself silently that if our paths ever crossed again, I would not let you face danger alone." The princess looked at him, astonished by the thoughtfulness and care he had carried for all those years. She felt a deep sense of connection, stronger than she had imagined possible. "You kept a promise," she said softly. "All these years. And now you're here. It feels unbelievable," he nodded. "I kept it," he said simply, "because you deserved it. You deserved someone who believed in you, someone who would be there when it mattered most, and now, I'm here." The princess felt a warmth in her chest, a feeling of safety she had not experienced in years. She realized that the bond they shared was not just from the past, it was alive, real, and stronger than ever. She could feel it in the way he moved, the way he spoke, the way he simply existed beside her. For the first time in a long time, she allowed herself to relax. The memories of fear, the weight of her title, and the constant caution she had carried began to ease. She felt the presence of the small child she had once been, and she felt gratitude for the human who had saved her, not only that day but in all the years he had silently watched over her from afar. "Thank you," she said softly, her voice trembling. "For everything. For saving me, for caring, for remembering." The human looked at her with a gentle smile. "You don't have to thank me," he said. "It was always the right thing to do. I would do it again, any day for you." A shiver ran through the princess, this time from a mixture of awe and emotional release. She realized that their meeting was not only a reunion of past and present, but also a chance to face the future together. The memories they shared had created a bond that could never be broken, a trust that had endured through years of separation. As the evening deepened, they stood together, looking at the city lights and the gentle water of the fountain. The princess knew that challenges still awaited her, political pressures, dangers from those who sought to control or harm her. But with the human by her side, she felt ready to face them. She understood now that the courage he had shown as a child was still with him, and that together, they could navigate whatever lay ahead. "I never imagined we would meet again," she said softly, her voice filled with wonder. "But now that we have, I feel like we can face anything." The human nodded, a quiet determination in his eyes. "We can," he said, "because we've already faced the impossible before. And we've survived. Together." The princess shivered once more, not from fear, but from the realization that the human who had once been her savior was now her companion, her ally, and someone she could trust completely. The past and present had merged, and a new chapter of their story was beginning, one built on courage, trust, and the unbreakable bond of shared memories. The alien princess and the human moved cautiously through the streets, the city lights casting long shadows around them. Even though the immediate danger had passed, the princess could not shake the feeling that they were being watched. Her shivers returned, subtle but persistent as memories of past threats mixed with the excitement of reunion. The human noticed her unease and stayed close, his calm presence acting as a shield against her fear. "You feel it too, don't you?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. He nodded. Yes, he said softly. We need to be careful. There are those who would harm you even now. The princess's heart tightened. She had faced danger before, but now it felt different. Before, she had been alone, relying only on her wits and training. Now she had someone she trusted completely, someone who had once saved her and was willing to do so again. The memory of that trust gave her strength, but the uncertainty of new threats kept her alert. As they turned a corner, they saw movement in the shadows. Figures dressed in dark clothing emerged silently, surrounding them. The princess's breath caught in her throat, but the human stepped forward without hesitation, positioning himself between her and the attackers. His eyes scanned the area, calculating, ready for action. Stay behind me, he instructed gently, his voice steady. No sudden movements. The attackers advanced carefully, their faces hidden but their intentions clear. The princess felt a mix of fear and adrenaline. She had faced enemies before, but the presence of the human changed everything. She felt safer, stronger, as if the courage of her childhood self had returned through him. Without a word, the human moved with precise speed and skill. He deflected their attacks, using his surroundings cleverly to create obstacles and block their path. The princess watched, amazed at his confidence and control. Every movement was deliberate, every decision thoughtful. She realized that this was the same bravery that had saved her years ago, now sharpened by experience. One of the attackers lunged at her, but the human reacted instantly, grabbing her arm and pulling her back just in time. She stumbled slightly, her heart pounding, but she felt a strange calm knowing he was there. The attackers hesitated, sensing the determination in him, and for a moment, there was silence broken only by the distant hum of the city. You need to move, he shouted, guiding her toward a narrow alleyway. She followed without question, trusting him completely. As they ran, the princess's mind raced. She realized how much she had depended on him, even now, and how much she had trusted him as a child. That trust had never faded. It had only grown stronger with time. They reached a small abandoned building and ducked inside, closing the door behind them. The princess leaned against the wall, trying to catch her breath. The human checked the surroundings carefully, then turned to her with a reassuring smile. You're safe for now, he said gently. We need to plan our next move, but we can handle this. The princess nodded, feeling a surge of relief. She had been alone for so long, facing danger she could barely predict, but now she realized that she was not alone anymore. The human who had saved her as a child was here, ready to face new threats with her. As they caught their breath, the princess spoke softly. I never thought I would see you again. I feared the world had taken you away from me forever. I never left, he said simply. I promised myself that if we ever met again, I would not let anything happen to you. And now here we are. The princess felt her heart swell with emotion. The memory of their past, the dangers they had faced, and the trust they shared created a bond that was unbreakable. She realized that the human was not only her protector, but also a reminder of the courage and hope she had carried all these years. They stayed in the building for a while, planning their next steps. The human explained that the attackers were part of a group seeking to control or harm the princess for their own purposes. They had been following her movements, waiting for an opportunity to strike. The princess listened carefully, understanding the gravity of the situation. She knew that her life had always been filled with danger, but now, with the human beside her, she felt ready to face it head-on. I remember the day you saved me, she said quietly, breaking the tense silence. I was so scared, and you were so brave. I've never forgotten that feeling. Even now it gives me strength. The human nodded, his eyes softening. And I've never forgotten you, he replied. I remember your courage too, even as a child. You were small but brave. You trusted me when you didn't have to, and that trust, it stayed with me all these years. The princess shivered again, but this time it was not from fear. It was from the realization that the human before her was not only her childhood savior, but also a constant presence in her life, even if she hadn't known it. The bond they shared was deep, unspoken, and powerful. As night fell, the city around them became quieter, but the sense of danger did not disappear. They knew the attackers could return at any moment. The princess felt a mix of fear and determination. She had faced threats before, but now she understood that courage was not the absence of fear. It was the decision to act despite it, especially when someone you trust is by your side. "We need to move carefully," the human said, his voice steady. "We can't let them corner us. But we can use the city to our advantage. We know each other. We trust each other, and that gives us strength." The princess nodded, feeling a surge of confidence. The memory of her childhood fear, the terror of danger, and the relief of being saved all combined with the present moment to create a sense of clarity. She realized that she was not just a princess who needed protection. She was someone who could act, who could fight, who could face challenges with the human by her side. They planned their next move, deciding to seek a safe place where they could rest and gather information. The human guided her through quiet streets and alleys, always alert, always watching for signs of danger. The princess followed closely, trusting him completely, yet also feeling a growing sense of her own strength. At one point, they paused on a rooftop overlooking the city. The princess looked out at the glowing lights, the gentle movement of people below, and the distant horizon. She felt a strange mix of awe and calm. The human stood beside her, his presence steady and reassuring. "I never imagined I would feel this safe," she said softly. "Even in a city full of strangers, even with danger all around." "You can feel safe," he said gently. "Because I'm here, and because you're stronger than you realize. Together we can face whatever comes next." The princess shivered once more, not from cold but from the weight of understanding. The human who had saved her as a child was now her ally, her protector, and someone she could trust completely. The past and present had merged, and the future, though uncertain, felt less frightening with him beside her. As they prepared to leave the rooftop and continue their journey, the princess realized that their bond was not only about survival, it was about trust, courage, and shared history. No matter what dangers awaited them, they would face them together, strengthened by memories, trust, and the knowledge that they had already overcome the impossible before. The alien princess and the human moved quietly through the city streets, their senses alert to every sound, every shadow. They knew that danger was still close, but the bond between them gave strength to face what lay ahead. Each step was careful, deliberate, as they made their way toward a safe place the human had discovered earlier, a small, abandoned building where they could rest, gather information, and plan their next move. The princess walked slightly behind him, but she felt more confident than she had in years. Memories of her childhood fear and the courage of her savior ran through her mind. She remembered the small human who had risked everything to save her, and now realized that same courage had grown even stronger over time. It was not just bravery, it was care, intelligence, and unwavering loyalty. Once they reached the building, the human checked the surroundings and ensured they were safe. Then he turned to the princess. "We should rest for a moment," he said gently. "We need our strength for whatever comes next." The princess nodded and took a seat on the worn floor, leaning against the wall. Her body still shivered slightly from the cold and from the tension of the evening, but the presence of the human beside her made her feel safe. She realized that she no longer felt alone in the world. He was not just a protector. He was someone who understood her, someone who had shared a defining moment of her life and had returned to stand beside her once again. After a moment of silence, she spoke softly, her voice filled with emotion. "I never thought I would see you again. I thought you were lost to my memories, a part of my past I could never touch again." "I never left," he replied. "I promised myself I would always watch over you, even if from afar. And now that we've met again, I will not let anything harm you. You are not alone." The princess felt tears welling in her eyes. She had spent years learning to be strong, to face challenges alone, but now she realized that strength was amplified by trust and companionship. She had trusted him as a child, and that trust had been honored all these years. The feeling of being cared for, protected, and understood brought a warmth she had long forgotten. Suddenly, the faint sound of movement reached their ears. The attackers had not given up. They were still searching, still trying to find the princess. The human's expression became serious, and he took a protective stance in front of her. "We need to be ready," he said quietly. "They will not stop until they find you." The princess nodded, her fear replaced by determination. She had faced threats before, but this time she was not alone. The memory of the human's courage as a child and his unwavering presence now gave her the confidence to act. She felt a surge of strength she had not realized she still possessed. As the attackers closed in, the human led the princess through a series of narrow corridors and hidden passageways. His knowledge of the city and his quick thinking allowed them to avoid the main streets where the attackers could spot them. The princess followed closely, trusting him completely, yet also aware of her own instincts and skills that had grown over the years. At one point, they paused in a dimly lit corridor. The princess turned to him, her voice trembling slightly. "I remember the day you saved me," she said. "I was so small, so frightened, and you risked everything. I have never forgotten that. You taught me courage." The human smiled faintly, a mixture of pride and nostalgia in his expression. "And you taught me trust," he replied. "Even as a child, you trusted me completely. That trust stayed with me. It helped me grow, and it led me here to this moment." They shared a quiet moment, a connection deeper than words before moving forward once again. The sound of footsteps grew louder, the attackers closing in, but the princess no longer felt helpless. She was no longer the small, frightened child from years ago. She was strong, aware, and ready to face danger with the human by her side. Finally, they reached a hidden rooftop that overlooked the city. The human helped the princess climb to safety, and together they looked down at the streets below. The attackers were still searching, but they had not noticed the rooftop escape. The princess felt her shivers subside, replaced by a steady calm. She realized that they had outsmarted their enemies not by sheer strength alone, but by trust, intelligence, and working together. The human turned to her. "We've made it this far," he said. "But we cannot let our guard down. We need to plan the next steps carefully." The princess nodded. "I understand," she said. "But I feel safe with you. Even with danger around, I feel protected. I never imagined I would feel this way again." He smiled, a soft, reassuring smile that made her heart feel lighter. "You are safe," he said, "and we will face whatever comes next together. You are not alone anymore. That child you were, that little princess, she is still with us, but now you are stronger. Together we are stronger." As night fully settled over the city, they stayed on the rooftop, looking at the lights and feeling the quiet strength of their bond. The princess realized that the human who had saved her as a child was now more than just a protector. He was a living reminder of hope, courage, and trust. The memories of fear and helplessness had been replaced by confidence and the assurance that she could face the world, no matter what challenges came their way. Eventually, the human spoke softly. "You've grown into someone incredible," he said. "Brave, smart, capable, and now together we can face anything, even the dangers that come from those who wish to harm you, even the impossible situations." The princess felt a warmth spread through her chest. She realized that the fear and uncertainty she had carried for so long were no longer her own burden to bear. She had someone she trusted completely, someone who had been part of her life in a defining way and now was here to face the future by her side. "I never thought I could feel this peace," she admitted softly. "Even in the middle of danger, I feel calm. I feel ready," the human nodded. "That is because we are not alone," he said. "We have each other. And no matter what comes, we will face it together." The princess looked at him, shivering slightly, not from fear but from the depth of understanding and emotion. She realized that their story was not just about past memories or childhood heroism. It was about the present, about courage, trust, and the bond they now shared. The human who had once saved her was now an unbreakable part of her life, someone she could rely on completely. As they stayed together on the rooftop, looking at the city below, the princess felt a sense of hope she had not felt in years. The past and present had merged, creating a bond that was unshakable. She realized that the journey ahead would still have challenges, but with the human beside her, she could face anything. The child she had once been, saved and guided by him, had grown into a strong, brave princess. And together they would continue forward side by side, ready to face the future with courage, trust, and unwavering connection.